Have you ever wondered what wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, media mogul Oprah Winfrey, and visionary Steve Jobs have in common? They all built unforgettable brands that changed the world completely in different ways. In this masterclass, I have put together three powerful stories that reveal to you the branding secrets behind their success. Stick around because the lessons you will learn here could transform the way you will build your own brand. For over 40 years, Hulk Hogan wasn't just a wrestler. He was a walking, talking story. His life, his character, his colors, his catchphrases, all crafted to make him unforgettable. And here's the thing. Behind all the body slams and big boots, Hogan was building a brand using storytelling principles that work in any industry. Today, I'm going to unpack those secrets and show you how to make your own message stick even if you have never stepped inside a wrestling ring. Hulk Hogan wasn't just Terry Bollea, the man. He became Hulk Hogan, the character. Yellow bandana, horseshoe mustache, ripped shirt, the sunglasses, and that tanned, muscle-bound physique. He didn't change it for decades, and that's why people remembered him. In branding, repetition is recognition. When people see your look or style over and over, they instantly associate it with you, just like we can spot Hogan from a mile away. So here's your challenge. What's your signature? It could be a color you always wear, a phrase you always say, a style of image you always post, or even a camera angle you use in videos. Write it down and commit to using it in every piece of content you create. When your audience starts recognizing you without even seeing your name, then you're winning. Hogan's matches weren't just random fights. They were full-on stories. He'd start strong, get knocked down, the villain will take over, and then boom, the comeback. Every time. That's why fans emotionally invested. They weren't watching for the punches, they were watching for the moment. In branding, your audience isn't really buying your product or service. They are buying into your story. They want to see your struggles, your battles, and your victories. Think about your next post or video. Can you structure it like a mini wrestling match? Start with a challenge or conflict. Show the tension and then end with a win or solution. This structure works whether you're selling coffee, coaching services, or even personal fitness programs. Hogan had one of the most famous catchphrases in wrestling history. What you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania runs wild on you? Catchphrases are sticky. They work because they are short, repeatable, and emotional. In business and personal branding, having your own catchphrase, or signature sign-off makes you more memorable than any logo ever could. Think about a short, punchy phrase that captures your brand energy. It could be motivational, it could be funny, or it could be empowering, but make it yours. Then, repeat it everywhere you go or everywhere you write, like your emails, your videos, your live streams, and your posts, so that people can identify you with these punchy phrases. And of course, represent your brand energy all the time. Now, trust me, over time, people will hear your voice in their head when they read it. And this is how you can emotionally connect with your audience and build an unforgettable brand. Hogan went from WWF hero to WCW villain to Hollywood cameo appearances. He changed formats, he changed audiences and platforms, but the core remained, which was his voice, his look, and his confidence. And what is the lesson here? You can adapt to trends and platforms without changing who you are at your core. Your brand's non-negotiables are what make you you. Write down 3 things in your brand that you will never change, no matter what platform or market you're in. For me, it might be my teaching style, my signature color scheme, and my storytelling first approach. So once you have those, you can adapt everything else, but your audience will still know it is you. 40 years later, even kids who never saw Hogan wrestle know his name. This is the power of showing up consistently for decades. You don't need to post everywhere. You just need to be unmissable in the places you choose to be. Now, pick your main platform and dominate it before you spread thin. Maybe it's LinkedIn, or maybe it's YouTube, or possibly Instagram, or Facebook, or TikTok. Deliver so much value there that people can't ignore you, and over time, your brand, just like Hogan, will feel ever present. Hulk Hogan showed us that great brands aren't accidents. They're built with story. They're built with symbols and repetition. The real question is, what's the one signature you'll commit to in your brand starting today? Drop it in the comments, and if you want my brand story starter kit, I'll send you 30 storytelling prompts to make your audience remember you forever. What if the thing that broke you became the very thing that built your brand? Oprah Winfrey didn't just become a billionaire. She built one of the most trusted personal brands in the world. not by being perfect, but by turning her deepest pain into purpose. This is the brand story of Oprah Winfrey, and the lesson it holds for every creator, coach, and visionary. Gail Winfrey was born in rural Mississippi in 1954. She was born to a teenage mother in poverty. No silver spoon, no privilege, just a very sharp mind and a deep well of pain. She was molested at 9 years old, got pregnant at 14 years old. Her son died in infancy, and yet she still showed up at school, delivering speeches that made people cry and made people notice to say, that girl has something. But no one could have predicted that she would become Oprah. Before she was a billionaire, she was a broken black girl. And what she did next changed the world. At 19, Oprah landed a job as a news anchor, the first black woman to hold that role in Nashville. But here's the twist. She wasn't even seen as professional enough. Too emotional, too expressive. So they demoted her, moved her to a low-ranking daytime talk show. That demotion became her door. She turned that show into the Oprah Winfrey Show. And over the next 25 years, she interviewed presidents, transformed lives, and changed daytime TV forever. But I hear you ask, but how? So what she did was that she didn't chase trends. She didn't need to perform, but she connected. She also listened. And she shared parts of herself that most people would have preferred to hide. Oprah turned her vulnerability into a superpower. And people started trusting her because she trusted them with her truth. Oprah didn't just host a show. She built an empire. Her brand wasn't about being the smartest or even being the skinniest or the trendiest. It was simply about her being human. And what were her pillars? Empathy, empowerment, and education. She used these three to build her empire. She built O Magazine, a print empire with her face on every cover. OWN, her own cable network, Super Soul Sundays, which was for spiritual and personal growth, and then Oprah's book club, where unknown authors became bestsellers overnight. So what does this mean for you as a creator? Oprah teaches us that consistency builds credibility, and being vulnerable builds connection. Your brand doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be authentic, aligned, and anchored in truth. Now, whether you are a YouTuber, a coach, or a digital creator, or even a professional, here is the truth. You don't need viral views to build a real brand. You need vision. You need a voice. And you also need to be vulnerable, and not just being vulnerable, but being vulnerable with purpose. Oprah never tried to be the next anybody. She decided to be fully, unapologetically herself. And then the world responded to her the way it was meant to, because she decided to be authentic and not a copy of anyone else. If you have been struggling to grow on YouTube or social media, maybe it's time to ask, am I sharing stories that build trust? Is my content solving real pain? Is my audience seeing me or just my posts? This is the power of story-based branding, and these are very important things you need to take note of, and that is what we teach here at Brand Story School. I want to share something else with you. Oprah's story proves that you can rise from the ashes of your past and build something that outlives you. You don't have to wait until it's perfect. You just have to start with what is real. And what is real? Your truth, your journey, and your story. So the next time you feel stuck, remember Oprah. And remember that sometimes the most powerful brands are born from the places we try the hardest to hide. Thank you for watching this episode of Brand Story School. And if Oprah's journey inspired you, let me know in the comments. I'd really love to hear what part of our story you are walking through right now. And if you're ready to turn your own story into strategy, hit that subscribe button, because Every week, we break down the stories behind the brands and show you how to build one of your own. And I remain Dr. Ish, and I'll see you in the next story. Take care and be blessed. Before the iPhone, before the MacBook, there was just a man. A man fired from his own company. A man called arrogant, stubborn, even crazy. And yet, this same man would go on to change the way we live, work, and connect. This is the story of Steve Jobs. The dreamer who turned obsession into a movement, and the 5 lessons every creator, founder, and brand builder can learn from his journey. It's 1976. 2 young men in their early 20s, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, are hunched over a workbench in Los Altos garage. They're not thinking about global domination. They're thinking about building something beautiful. Jobs wasn't an engineer like Wozniak. He was the visionary. He saw the computer not as a machine for geeks, but as a tool for everyone. He obsessed over the look, the feel, even the packaging. Because to him, the product wasn't just what it did, it was how it made you feel. Your brand is born from obsession, not convenience. If you're building something just because it's easy, it will disappear the moment the market changes. But if you build from obsession, the thing you can't not do, your audience will feel it. So ask yourself, what part of your brand would you still work on if no one was watching and no one was paying? That's your obsession. Double down on it and make it your signature. Think of Nike's obsession with performance. That's why their ads barely mention price. Jobs' obsession was beauty in tech. That became Apple's differentiator. By 1984, Jobs is on stage unveiling the Macintosh. The crowd is electric. Apple is riding high. But behind the scenes, things are messy. Jobs' relentless perfectionism, his blunt leadership style, and his unwillingness to compromise create friction with the board. A year later, in 1985, the unthinkable happens. Steve Jobs is fired from Apple. The entire company he co-founded in his parents' garage was taken from him. Most people would disappear after a public humiliation like that. But Jobs later said, "Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that ever happened to me, because the fall gave him space to explore without the pressure of a $1 billion company." Now, what is the lesson here? Your setback is often your stage. In brand storytelling, audiences connect more to your comeback than your initial success. When you share the messy middle, you build loyalty because your audience sees themselves in your struggle. How about you sharing a time you failed? and what you learned. It doesn't make you look weak. It makes your story human. In exile, Jobs starts again. He creates Next, a high-end workstation computer company, and buys a tiny animation studio from George Lucas. That studio? Pixar. Under Jobs' guidance, Pixar will go on to create Toy Story, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, reshaping the entire animation industry. And while Next never took over the market, its software became the foundation for the Mac OS X we use today. Now, what is the lesson here? Your side projects might be your secret weapons. Not everything you create will be a commercial hit, but the experiments can unlock future breakthroughs. Now, why don't you keep your creative play space? Some of your most profitable ideas will come from things you do outside your main work. Ask yourself, what's my Pixar? What is the small thing I'm building on the side that could be world-changing later? It's 1997. Apple is on the verge of bankruptcy. They call Jobs back. Within months, he slashes the product line from dozens of models to just 4. He simplifies the brand message. He focuses on design and user experience. In 2001, the iPod launches 1,000 songs in your pocket. By 2007, Jobs walks on stage, pulls a phone from his pocket and says, "Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone." And he did. What is the lesson here? Simplicity is the ultimate brand power. In a noisy market, clarity always wins. The iPod wasn't sold as a music player. It was sold as freedom, convenience, and joy. So here's a little assignment for you. Rewrite your offer in 7 words or less. If your audience can't remember it, they can't repeat it. Let's take for an example, FedEx. When it absolutely, positively has to be there overnight. Or Apple iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Steve Jobs didn't just sell computers. He sold a vision that technology could be beautiful, intuitive, and empowering. He made keynote presentations into theatrical events. He made product launches into cultural moments. And he made his customers feel like they were part of something bigger than themselves. The lesson here is that your story becomes iconic when it's about more than you. Jobs wasn't just selling iPhones. He was selling the idea that you could change the world with the tools in your pocket. Now, here's what I want you to do. Tie your brand to a bigger mission. The product gets attention, and the mission builds a movement, which is a win-win for you and for your audience. Steve Jobs' life wasn't perfect. It was messy, complicated, and filled with risk. But Every setback, every obsession, every bold move became part of a story that changed the world. So here's my question for you. What's the one obsession you'll commit to your brand starting today? Drop it in the comments. And if you want 30 proven storytelling prompts to help you tell your brand story like Jobs, DM me Vision. And I'll send you my brand story starter kit. Thank you for watching. If there's one thing that Hulk Hogan, Oprah Winfrey, and Steve Jobs teach us, it's that unforgettable brands are built on story, consistency, and courage. If you found this masterclass valuable, don't forget to subscribe for more brand building stories. And if you want to go deeper, check out the individual video links right here on the screen.